I want us to look at one Kalonzo Musyoka in relation to the predicaments of the Honorable Rigathi. Has he contributed somehow to Rigathi's impeachment? Is Kalonzo a true friend to Rigathi or just an opportunist? If that's a topic that would interest you, I urge you to stay tuned because we are going to delve into this. And of course, if you're watching for the first time, I want to ask you to kindly consider subscribing to this channel so that you don't miss similar videos. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, let us jump right into the subject of the day. In my opinion, Kalonzo Musyoka qualifies to be the most unlucky presidential candidate in our history. And let me qualify. The first time Kalonzo vied as president was 2007. He was part of ODM. Then, when he realized that ODM was not going to give him the ticket, considering he considered himself a very senior politician, as opposed to the likes of Raila, Mudavadi, and Ruto. So what did he do? He ran with ODM party. It was called ODM Kenya, and had to vie. Fast forward, of course, he became number 3 in that particular election, but very fast joined Kibaki as his vice president. In 2013, when Kibaki was retiring, the expectation was that Kalonzo would be the next in line to vie for presidency. His hope was that because he came through for the Kikuyus at their hour of need, they were going to return the favor and back him en masse. So you know that never happened. Kikuyus backed their own son Uhuru Kenyatta, who also got the support of William Ruto. And so Kalonzo was again left disoriented, to say the least. It was until very last minute that he joined Raila as a running mate. Okay? Because he looked at every scenario, he expected that he was going to go with the support of the Kikuyus, add that to canvas, and he would be a very serious contender. But now that Kikuyus did not return the favors and they were now with their son Uhuru Kenyatta, Kalonzo was disoriented. Last minute, he joined Raila Odinga as a running mate. Of course, they lost. However, Raila had promised that in 2017, he would back Kalonzo Musyoka for the presidency. You know that did not happen because what Raila did, he just moved to a different coalition. CORD was the coalition under which they had this particular agreement of him handing over to Kalonzo come 2017. But now that he had a new vehicle called NASA, the agreements of CORD became null and void. And so Kalonzo was unlucky again. He threatened to vie on his own. But with Kamba votes alone, considering Kikuyus and Kalenjins were behind Uhuru Kenyatta, and of course Raila had the Luos, the Western support, and that from Coast, Kalonzo looked at the scenario, and even though he was threatening and swearing that he would vie, that he even claimed that if he would be the most stupid person to support Raila. But then he supported Raila in 2017 with the hope that Raila was going to support him come 2022. However, the bad luck continued because when 2022 was nearing, Raila just dismissed NASA and came up with Azimio. So you see the agreements of NASA, just like in the previous case of agreements of CORD, they could not carry over to Azimio. Azimio was a new coalition under Uhuru Kenyatta. The agreement was that Uhuru was to bring the Kikuyus to Raila. And so Kalonzo found himself again not in the picture. It was so embarrassing that Kalonzo had to be forced to actually do an interview to be Raila's running mate, somebody he had deputized in 2 previous elections. Fast forward, Kalonzo was never picked. They picked Martha Karua. And so Kalonzo found himself, for a 3rd time, not able to vie as president. But then something happened. Out of all this, somehow Kalonzo found a friend in Uhuru Kenyatta. I don't know what the friendship is based on. Maybe it is material or something. But Kalonzo somehow found a friend in Uhuru Kenyatta. The reason as to why I'm saying this is very important. Remember, in 2022, he had threatened that he was not going to support Raila without reciprocation. And so I think Uhuru came up, chipped in and reciprocated. And after a while, we saw Kalonzo Musyoka supporting Raila Odinga. And if you listened to Uhuru's remark during the unveiling of Raila Odinga at KICC, it was all praises to Kalonzo Musyoka for being selfless and all these other words politicians use when they have struck a deal. But you looked at Kalonzo. He was supporting Raila that time purely because of Uhuru Kenyatta. It was in 2022, he was not supporting Raila because of some love for Raila or belief. No. It was purely because of Uhuru Kenyatta. And this relationship with Uhuru Kenyatta, I think, has continued because from the look of things, Kalonzo Musyoka now supports Rigathi Gachagua, and I think it is purely based on his relations with Uhuru Kenyatta and the understanding that this time round, considering everything, Rigathi Gachagua can help him. Okay, a combined force of Rigathi Gachagua and Uhuru Kenyatta can unite the Kikuyu vote behind him in the next election. That is the election of 2027. So the question we must answer here is Kalonzo a genuine friend to Rigathi Gachagua or just a usual opportunist? Somebody who is taking advantage of Rigathi's predicaments to inherit the base come 2027. In my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think Kalonzo is a genuine friend to Rigathi Gachagua. I am persuaded he's doing this with the belief that this time round, things have conspired in his favor. Because Kalonzo would have easily joined Raila in working with Ruto. But you see, Ruto is going for a 2nd term, so Kalonzo does not have a path there. So what happens? Kalonzo is seeing an opportunity here. What if him and Uhuru succeed to incite Rigathi against Ruto? Because that is what happened. Rigathi Gachagua was just incited against Ruto. Whoever did this did it meticulously. They made the guy believe that he was co-president. Yes, he believed that. He was co-president. He was persuaded 100% that since they were on the same ticket, they had the same mandate with Ruto, and so he could call shots. And when these were not taken seriously, he started feeling undermined, because according to his interpretation of what a deputy president would be, is that since he's a president in waiting, he can as well just execute things. Why wait? So, and I think he was being cheered on by the likes of Kalonzo. Why am I saying he was being cheered on? Remember, I said Kalonzo has been a vice president. By the way, there is no bigger difference between vice president and deputy president apart from the security of tenure. The vice president would be fired whenever the president wanted. So a president would even have one term with 7 vice presidents. So to cure this, the framers of the Constitution 2010 decided to incorporate the clause where these people are elected together. That way, you cannot fire them unless via impeachment or if they are incapacitated somehow. So Kalonzo had been in the position Rigathi is in, and Kalonzo was very loyal to Mheshimiwa, the late Mwai Kibaki. You can't find a case where he tried to even rear his head against Mwai Kibaki. And he was seeing this so-called friend of his doing that, and he cheered him on. I think the reason him and Uhuru decided to cheer on Rigathi Gachagua was purely selfish and strategic. For Uhuru, getting rid of Rigathi Gachagua was a form of revenge. Remember, Rigathi Gachagua was very nasty to Uhuru Kenyatta, and Rigathi Gachagua is somehow responsible for destroying Jubilee and making it useless, and killing the Azimio uprising that was in Central. And so Uhuru was reduced to nothing. He had no political influence, courtesy of Rigathi Gachagua. So when Uhuru sensed that Rigathi Gachagua was shooting himself, had started to shoot himself in the leg, Uhuru decided to add him more ammunition and told him that he instead of shooting himself in the leg, he can just point something maybe to his chest. And I think Rigathi took that offer and is impeached now. Kalonzo, on the other part, was looking at it strategically, that if Rigathi Gachagua is still the deputy president and he doesn't have troubles, he will not see the need to bargain with the Mount Kenya votes. He would just still ensure that these Mount Kenya votes go to William Ruto come 2027. But if he was to be in trouble and to be kicked out, then out of this bitterness, it is very easy for Rigathi Gachagua, out of protest, to take his votes and to take the Mount Kenya votes and hand them over to Kalonzo Musyoka. So Kalonzo was looking at it from that opportunistic perspective. I help you destroy yourself so that when you are in your hour of need, I chip in as a friend. And even now, he has not told him that the best thing to do when you find yourself in a hole is to stop digging. No, he's telling Rigathi Gachagua, I believe, that continue digging. Even when Rigathi is giving his press conference, even when it's from the hospital, you see that is flanked by the people from Wiper. It tells you where the future is. The Rigathi is going to try his level best to give Kikuyus to Kalonzo Musyoka. And Kalonzo is seeing this is a one in a lifetime opportunity that he would not let go. Remember, he hoped that the Kikuyus were going to reward him in 2013. Kikuyus did not. Instead of rewarding, standing with him because he stood with their man in 2007, they went with another son of theirs, Uhuru Kenyatta. And as I told you, he expected that Raila would return the favor, considering that he has stood with Raila several times. Raila has never done that. So he is seeing an opportunity here with a bitter Rigathi who wants to punish Ruto no matter what. Chances are that Rigathi would hand over the Kikuyu vote to Kalonzo Musyoka. So he's not this friend of Rigathi who is feeling his pain, who is going through this, who is finding solution to this problem. No, he is this opportunist who is making sure that Rigathi sinks even under, so that their relationship with President Ruto is irreparable. Because if there are gaps, if there are opportunities that these people might even come back together, it will really mess up Kalonzo and his plan. So he has to ensure whatever it is that they will whisper in Rigathi's ear has to be something that make him and Ruto part ways permanently. The beauty of this for Kalonzo is, as long as Kikuyus are bitter with Ruto, And of course, they don't have a strong candidate that they can forward there. I don't think Rigathi can vie in 2027 and emerge victorious. And also, I don't see a scenario where Rigathi would be the presidential candidate with Kalonzo Musyoka as his deputy. To ensure that never happens, the likes of Kalonzo and Uhuru have incited Rigathi into impeaching himself. Once he is impeached, remember he's impeached, and once even though he believes the court can save him, I don't think so. I told you that this is a done deal. Rigathi is gone. They know he cannot vie. So the fact that he cannot vie and cannot be appointed means that he has no option. Rigathi has no option but to endorse Kalonzo Musyoka come 2027. And that is the plan of Kalonzo Musyoka, if you asked me. Not a genuine friend, an opportunist par excellence, but in this case, he has really played nicely. He saw an opportunity, he saw something that he has been looking for, and he has seen a way to get it. For Uhuru Kenyatta, and I said that the relationship between Kalonzo Musyoka and Uhuru Kenyatta should be something you note. Why? Because for Uhuru Kenyatta, this would be the best revenge of all times. Remember, Kalonzo helped him in trying to make Raila's candidature look meaningful. If Kambas did not back Raila in 2022, he would have gotten, Ruto would have won by a landslide. But by Kalonzo bringing in Kambas, and this notion that Ngilu and Mutua and others are also a force to reckon with in Ukambani, those are that is being simplistic, in my opinion. Believing that the Ngilus and Mutuas have a say in Ukambani, that is being simplistic. That is like believing that Orengo and Gladys Wanga and Anyang' Nyong'o have a say in Luoland. It's being simplistic and ignoring the real politics. And you see here, we talk raw politics, real politics. We don't have to pretend that certain things are what they are not. In this case, Kalonzo controls Ukambani, and he helped Uhuru Kenyatta to make the candidature of Raila Odinga have meaning. And Uhuru is feeling like Raila decided to work with his enemy. So, two things. If Raila does not get AU, and Raila comes back and endorses Ruto, for instance, for 2027, Uhuru will have a candidate in Kalonzo, a strong one. Because if they manage to get Mount Kenya and Ukambani to vote together, and by Mount Kenya I mean the Kikuyus, the 3.1 million votes from former Central Province, the 1.3 million vote from the Mount Kenya East, that is Meru, Tharaka, and Embu, and then another 1.2 million or 0.3 million from Laikipia and Nakuru. That would be significant vote because you are looking at starting the race with over 5 million. Since this is 5 million from Mount Kenya, add the Kamba 1 point something, you are looking at starting the race with 6 million votes. And so that is considerable. That is if the Kindiki effect doesn't pull through, because there is also this scenario where appointing Kindiki picks the Mount Kenya East, so that the 1.3 from Tharaka, Meru, and Embu is not in the equation of Kalonzo. And also maybe if the diaspora, maybe those who in Nakuru, etc., also choose to vote Ruto back for various reasons. But Kalonzo, nonetheless, if he gets the Kikuyu from the former Central Province and he adds to Kambas, he will be starting his race with at least 4 or 5 million, and that is not that is not a small thing for somebody like Kalonzo, who has postponed his candidature simply because he didn't have the numbers. So for Uhuru, he will be having a strong candidate to face a combination of Raila Odinga and Ruto, okay, and with the hope that Kenyans by that time perhaps would have been so much incited against the government that they vote for Kalonzo. Uhuru would have gotten his revenge against Ruto and his revenge against Raila Odinga. But as for Kalonzo, he would have gone into history as president. It would be like I waited strategically, and when I saw an opportunity, I won. As for Rigathi, he would be a power broker, nothing else, just maybe waiting for deals. But then you see, once you've delivered the votes and you are somebody who cannot be appointed and you cannot vie, you will have no value. Rigathi, politically, he sealed his fate. He will be done. He can use the current anger that Kikuyus have, but this anger will not last for long. After that time, after the anger goes down, chances are that Rigathi will lose value, and Kalonzo would have inherited Kikuyus simply like that. Ladies and gentlemen, to answer the question, is Kalonzo a true friend or an opportunist? I am telling you, he is not a true friend of Rigathi. If he was, he would have advised him otherwise. He would have told him how to be a deputy president, because he was a deputy president, and he knows that there is nothing like co-presidency. But they cheered him on. They made him feel invincible. He did this deliberately to ensure that Rigathi is impeached, and so that once he is impeached, there is nothing that Rigathi can threaten him with. Because if Rigathi is not impeached, remember, he could have decided that he's vying for presidency. And he would have even demanded that Kalonzo be his running mate, considering he's bringing in more votes than Kalonzo Musyoka. But now that Kalonzo and Uhuru have made sure that Rigathi Gachagua is impeached, it is very easy for him to pretend that he's the best friend around him, gather the sympathy, take advantage of the sympathy that is currently surrounding Rigathi Gachagua from the mountain, and use that, ladies and gentlemen, to launch his 2027 race. That is why Kalonzo is very comfortable nowadays. He knows that if things go the way he plans, he's starting the race stronger. I hope you found this video useful. Don't forget to drop a like. Let me know your views in the comment section. And if you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing to this channel and share this video with friends. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and let us meet in the next video.